up, you guys? Happy Monday. Welcome back to the Fumble Live. Thank you for tuning in today. Now, we are going to be talking about Giannis and how he is really turning into quite the superstar in the finals. And we're also talking about those Dame rumors. He denied that he ever requested a trade, but I don't know. I have my doubts, and I'm wondering if Jackie does as well. Now, before we dive in, make sure you subscribe to our channel, tap the bell for notifications, give this video a thumbs up, and leave a comment below. Here's the Fumble Squad. I'm Devin Howard. You can find me on Instagram as @DevinHoward.
Good morning, everybody. I'm Jackie Ray. You can follow me on Instagram and Twitter @JRayTheFanatic.
You guys, I am really grateful that Jackie helped me out last Friday by bringing in her friend Nick to cover for me. I don't know what happened, but I was not feeling well. Luckily, I took the weekend to rest and recover, and I'm feeling way better. But Jackie, I have a bone to pick with you because you apparently watched Space Jam, and we were supposed to go see that together as a team.
Oh,
so
we can still go see it. We can still go see it. That movie was so good. It was so good. I had to watch it because I have another show that we're going to review it on Tuesday. So do not listen to the opposite reaction because there's going to be a ton of spoilers in it. But so I had to watch it. And plus I was sick. I was like, did Devin curse me in some way? I was like sick. Like I came home from work on Friday. I got on my couch and swear to God, I just moved probably last night when I was like, okay, I got to actually get in my bed. I just ordered food and soup and vitamin C. You can probably hear I sound a little stuffy, but I was literally stuck on the couch. So all I did was watch Black Widow, something Luca, which is some Disney cartoon thingy, and then Space Jam. Space Jam was really, really good. I was really proud of him for that. But, you know, I'm going to see it like 7 times. So I'm not going to spoil it. Okay. We're going to go as a team. And it gives me time to be a total nerd to get my Space Jam gear together so I can show up in character when we go see it in public.
So my best friend's husband actually won, like, I don't know what it was, some sort of contest where he got this whole Space Jam kit that includes, I think, some sort of gaming console, like maybe Xbox or PlayStation, and a Space Jam jersey. And I was like, I need to wear that jersey. And they're like, okay, you can wear it, but you have to keep the tags on. I was like, sounds kind of uncomfortable, but I'll do it. I think they want to keep it in pristine condition. But yeah, okay, so I'm glad that you're willing to see it with us again because I've been holding off on watching it because I thought we were going as a Fumble team. But I don't even know if we'll be able to anymore because LA has recently put the indoor mask mandate back on, which I'm so sad about. So that's happening. Anyway. It's a whole other story. I'm sorry you weren't feeling well. You guys, something happened. July took both of us out, but we are here, hopefully feeling healthy and ready to go. I know I feel like a new woman, so I'm really glad about that. Let's get into Need to Know News 1. Is Giannis finally turning into the superstar that we always wanted him to be? Because he is really showing up in the finals. Let's get the first tweet up there. So this is his performance in the NBA Finals. 32.2 points per game, 13 rebounds per game, 5.6 assists per game. I mean, these are great stellar numbers for Giannis, and I love seeing him leveling up in this way. People are actually comparing his performance to other greats, so we can bring that second tweet up there. So he's averaging 32 points, 13 rebounds, and 5 assists, which is more than LeBron, at least in terms of the points and rebounds. It's more than KD. It's more than Steph Curry, Kobe, Shaq. I mean, he is really like these are historic numbers is basically what I'm trying to say here. And he's proving to be performing better than some of the greats that we've seen in recent years. So people are also, let's get into the third tweet here. They're also saying that he is so obviously better than James Harden. So let's just talk about this, Jackie, because you and I have both been pretty impressed by Giannis in this final series, and we have been waiting for the day that he kind of comes into his own and really fulfills that role as the Bucks superstar. He's got the 2-time MVP to back his reputation, but it always kind of seemed like he never was really able to live up to expectations. And now he finally is. So first of all, what is your reaction to seeing his stats compared to people like LeBron, KD, Steph, Kobe, Shaq?
I mean, I think he deserves to be in that conversation. He just does. I've always liked the Giannis LeBron comparison. I know other people in the kingdom do not, but I've always liked that comparison because their style of play is very similar. James Harden had said something back in the day that I have very much agreed with until recently. The main criticism that I had for Giannis going into this series was that he clogs the lane and he really just plays bully ball all the time. This is something that we've seen players struggle with. They have this certain area in their style of play that they need to modify, even if it's just slightly. Nobody needed to take away bully ball from Giannis, but it did need to be modified just a little bit. And he modified it just a little bit, just a little bit, just enough. That game on Saturday, I didn't see him clog the lane unless he had to. People were criticizing him because he was taking that outside 3-point shot, and they were like, why is he doing that? That's an automatic turnover. I 100% disagree with that because he needs to take those shots, because the only way what's going to happen is he's probably practicing, obviously, off the court. He needs to take those shots in the game. We don't need another Ben Simmons situation where he's not taking these shots because he's afraid they won't go. He's doing exactly what he needs to be doing. He's taking risk. He's pulling his teammates in. He's not clogging the lane. He's getting the rebounds, the assists. He is being an all-around player. That is superstar status to me. This Giannis, I would have given the MVP to, not that second one. The second one I still think should have went to James Harden. This Giannis, yes, very much so. It was like an instant, and I don't want to say instant because we never know the kind of work that guys are doing behind the scene, but I was criticizing him about this game 1 and game 2. So obviously looks like it's an instant change to me. Very, very proud of him. It's a difficult situation to watch because I literally kind of cheer for whoever has the ball in this situation, because I do love Giannis. I love Chris Middleton. You guys know that. So I obviously want them to succeed. But it's impossible not to love Devin Booker and Chris Paul on the other side of the ball. So I said whoever was the first one to win the road game was going to definitely win the series. Obviously, I said Bucks in 7 as well, so I'm going to stick to that. But I'm very, very proud of Giannis in this moment. I love the comparison. I know you don't want to hear Bucks in 7.
I mean, if I'm being honest, I am definitely questioning my decision to go Suns with the championship because I am definitely impressed by the Bucks. But anyway, keep going with your thought.
No, that's it. I love the comparison. He is doing his thing. We're going to see something in the post-up that I sent to both our producer and Devin. Devin didn't totally agree with me on it, but it's that moment in time that literally made my fandom of Giannis go up even more, because it's an understanding of him that I didn't have before that kind of changed my thought process on some other things. But the man is an overall superstar. That's what you want to see in your main guy, and I'm very proud of him. The Suns are in trouble.
I'm proud of him too, because like you, it's not like I feel a super diehard allegiance to either team here. I just thought that the Suns were the better team, but now that Giannis is really pulling up, I'm definitely questioning my choice. I'm going to stick to it. I can't walk back on it now, but I do think that the Bucks are proving to be more of a threat than I expected them to be. So you just said that Giannis is a superstar. So that's something that we've kind of tossed around a little bit. We've questioned it a little bit in previous seasons, but do you feel like this series really did elevate him to superstar status and now this is where he can live?
Absolutely. I think that we've just seen this kind of Giannis. I don't have a word for it, but that's how it is, just whatever. And I think he's lost some moments because of that. There's times when he could have gotten there a little sooner. But this Giannis is very aware not only of who he is as a person, who his players are. He's coming to his own. I don't want to say it's an overnight thing, but this is not the same Giannis. Game 5 Giannis was not Game 1 Giannis, was not Game 2 Giannis. I don't know what clicked for him, but it's a beautiful thing. It was something that I believe was always probably there for him, if we're being honest about it. But for whatever reason, now he understands it. Maybe he spent a lot of time watching tape, but that's how he's going to continually get better. I think we're fine to put him in superstar conversations right now. I think he will live there until the end of his career, and he's only going to get better, which is a scary thing. So I'm happy for him. I really am.
Wow, okay. So I guess it was all that it really took was this final series for you to recognize Giannis as the superstar that we always wanted him to be. And, you know, if this is how he continues to perform, I feel like he can definitely maintain that superstar status for sure. But I know you mentioned watching tapes and maybe feeling a little bit of the pressure, but what is it that you really feel was the motivating factor for Giannis to kind of take charge and build up the intensity to actually perform as well as he is right now?
I mean, I would love for him to actually sit down and answer that question. But if I had to guess, I would say it was stepping back and seeing how much better his team played when he wasn't on the floor. And then understanding that you need them to play that way while you're on the floor. And then just self-reflecting and saying, how can I still be everything that I am as a player and even level up a little bit and bring my guys in, because this is not a one-man band. You do need your teammates. And having that moment where he can really, because that's the only thing that makes sense to me. Because I literally went from saying, oh, he clogs the lane, he gets in everybody's way, he doesn't pull guys in, to saying, oh, he's not clogging the lane, he's getting everybody involved, he's getting these assists, it's everything is firing on all cylinders. It was 2 games difference between me saying those 2 phrases. So I really do believe it's that moment in time when he saw how much better they looked without him, and then trying to understand who he is with that organization. He's still the leader on that team. Regardless of how they looked without him on the floor, he is the leader of that team. So as good as they looked without him, they're supposed to look exponentially better with him on the floor, period. That's how that is supposed to go. And I think that just clicked with him. I think he was like, oh, okay, look how dope we are. Let's go out there and do the damn thing. That's what I think happened. I would love for him to answer that question. Kevin Pryor in the chat said his press conferences are becoming legendary. Absolutely. He's so methodical with what he says. Some of that I know is because English is not his first language, so he has to think about some words. But at the same time, he is so grounded in who he is as a person. Just forget basketball. He's very grounded in who he is as a person, which translates to basketball. And I think he's going to continue to level up. And those conversations that he has in press conferences, I'm 1000% sure that he has those in the locker room. And those conversations are motivating his teammates as well. So this is a great look for Giannis. I think everybody should be like, even if you weren't a Giannis fan before, or if you were just kind of like me and you knew he was great, you just needed to see it. This is your seeing it moment. So this is a big deal.
It is a big deal. And now finally, one hypothetical question that's probably going to annoy some diehard Giannis fans. But would Steph even be here if he was going up against, would Giannis even be here if he was going up against Steph and the Warriors or LeBron and the Lakers? Do you think that he's able to achieve this superstar status because he's going up against one of the teams that wasn't necessarily the best in the league, or a known great in the league?
I mean, that's a fair question, and we can play what if forever. The truth of the matter is the 2 healthiest teams in the league made it to the finals. However you want to look at that, that is what happened. I don't know if we can really make those arguments because I've said it before, I'm going to say it again. Staying healthy is a skill set. Now, I know what everyone's saying, like, oh, we knew this short season was going to plague us with injuries. We damn sure did. It's going to plague us next season, too. Let's be clear about that. So your only hope is to understand that, hey, this is where you are. You've got to stay healthy. It's the same thing I said with the Nets. We can't get mad at the Nets because they did what they were supposed to do with getting the best team. We can't get mad at these 2 teams because they did whatever they were doing off the court to stay healthy. It is what it is. Hopefully we will see next season. I hate to play what if, because regardless of what might have been this season, if everybody was healthy and they had to, I'm still not as confident in the whole Warriors thing without Clay. I know that Jeremiah's going to feel some type of way about that, but Warriors with Clay and Steph, maybe. Warriors without Clay, this is still the same outcome that we see right now. That's not going to factor in. 100% healthy Lakers, okay, now we got a different situation. So now we'll get to see if everyone stays healthy. Giannis is still in this moment. They still, because of this situation, have figured out who they are as a team. They're not going to forget that just because people start staying healthy. So that question is going to answer itself next season. And I'm hoping every team does what they're supposed to do in the offseason with resting and strengthening and conditioning so they can stay healthy, because we're going to face another short season. So I think we're going to have to see, where we are. Because this is a question that's on everyone's mind. I saw KD tweet out that he thought that the 2016 Cavs and Warriors was a better series as far as being evenly matched than this one was. I don't know if I agree with that. I think this one's pretty evenly matched as well. But because we had a multitude of injuries across the league, that is always going to be a question mark for everyone. Would they even be here if anyone else was healthy? Because we don't forget, we saw the Suns go into the bubble last year and kill it, and it amounted to nothing. So that's always going to be a question. But now the question for other teams should be, would they have, it shouldn't be, would they do this if they had to face us? It should be, how do we stay 100% healthy so we can make sure that we do what we need to do so we can get to that moment? Because staying healthy is a skill set. You got to do that. Okay, well, Mike, 2016, 2017, whichever one, I don't care. It's KD. I'm probably never going to quote that man 100% right.
Okay, well, let's move on because we're running short on time, but I really want to get into this Dame story. So news broke last week that Dame had requested a trade from the Trailblazers, but he denied those. He said on Friday morning that the report from the website True Hoop claiming that he was asking or making that trade request is, quote, not true. He also said that he does plan on being in Portland at the start of next season. But which I don't honestly believe. I think that he's just trying to calm the rumor mill a little bit, because right after saying that, he went into all the ways that the team needs to improve. And it was a pretty critical stance coming from somebody who claims that they are so loyal to the franchise. He said, in terms of his future with the team altogether, he said, quote, right now I'm not sure what I'm going to do. What I can say is that my intention and my heart is on being in a Trailblazers uniform for my entire career. But I think over time, you want to win it all. I want to win it all in a Trailblazers uniform, but we all have to be making strides towards that. He also put a lot of public pressure on the team to make some needed changes to the roster. And he also talked about what Chauncey Billups may or may not be able to do with the team. He said, quote, I don't disagree that maybe Chauncey can change our team and make us a better team, but I think if you look at our team as it is, I don't see how you say this is a championship team. We just need a new coach. So he clearly thinks that the way the team is right now is not a championship team, and he doesn't think that the addition of a new coach is going to elevate them enough to actually get there. So he's not asking for a trade just yet, but I feel like that's definitely something that could happen sooner rather than later. He said, quote, I think the best way to put it is just to be more urgent about what our next step is and how we move forward. We have a lot of pride about we've made the playoffs all these years. We're not a bad team. We're a winning team. We've got a great environment. We have a great city. We have great fans. It's a lot of positives. But I just think we've reached the point where we're like, okay, but it's not enough. Do we want to win it all? Do we actually want to do that? Then we've got to do things to show that. So he clearly is having his doubts about the team. I mean, these are some very real vocal doubts that he is having about the Trailblazers. He obviously doesn't think that they're going to be able to make it to the finals or even have that finals win without making some really huge changes to the roster. He doesn't think the coach is going to do it. To me, this all screams, I'm leaving. And I'm kind of just trying to lay the groundwork right now so that nobody is too surprised. So Jackie, even though he did deny the trade request rumors, do you feel like that's still something that could happen soon?
So this was an interesting one because it didn't come, I believe the reporter that he's close to is Chris Hainsworth. So it didn't come from a reporter that we know Dame actually has a relationship with. So I kind of shrugged it off as well. But the reason why this is funny to me is because everything is about relationships, right? So this is one of those, if you ever sat down with your guy friends or girlfriends and they started telling you they've already made up in their mind something, but they might love this situation or they love this person, so they're going to try to ride it out, but they're eyeballing something else, either the single life or some other person. This is the exact conversation that I've had with girlfriends, but Dame is using basketball terms like, oh, well, I mean, I could be fine by myself, but anytime somebody says a but after that, you know that they're considering other things. I don't know if Dame has requested a trade. I do believe in my heart of hearts he has hinted at it, though. I believe that his agent knows that, hey, if there's any way you can get me out of here, get me out of here. I believe that conversation has been had, and because that conversation has probably happened with his agent, obviously somebody in that head office knows that as well. So I think what's happening is because when you say something like, hey, Chauncey's great, we're not. Chauncey can't come in here and fix this. This is a problem that's going to happen with or without Chauncey. And when you say that and you say that out loud, then you've resolved in your heart that this isn't something that one person, especially a coach, can fix. And if a person can't fix it, then why am I here? These are questions that you can tell that he's asking himself. Whether he's going to admit it or not, you can tell that he's asking himself those questions. Why am I here? We've been doing the same thing over and over again. The definition of insanity is doing the same thing over and over again and expecting a different result. Chauncey's not going to give us a different result. And unless we make huge changes, which would be interesting, where does he think that huge change should come from? And I've been a big proponent of that. If you're going to build a team around somebody, you go to them and you ask them, what do you think you need? Obviously, Dame is not in that position where he can say, hey, CJ got to go. NURK got to go. He can't do that because then that makes him the bad guy. He clearly does not want to be the bad guy. I don't know what's going on behind the scenes, but I do know in my heart of hearts, just from the way he's speaking out loud, him leaving has crossed his mind more than once. He is making that very clear.
So when he says that he does plan on being in a Trailblazers uniform at the start of next season, do you believe that, or do you feel like that's just a quick cover-up?
I think the start of next season he probably does. Because that's what his contract hasn't even officially started yet. So I know that, again, if this agent can figure out a way to get him out of it, anytime you say but, you can forget everything that came before that. Yeah, I want to be in a Trailblazers uniform, but, you know what I mean? No. That's when I tell people all the time, they're like, hey, do you want to live in LA forever? Sure I do. But that means I'm open to leave. If the situation presents itself where it's beneficial to me, I'm open to leave. And I just don't have no one's going to care if I leave LA. You know what I mean? So it's not like I don't have to say that publicly. But at the end of the day, he said it exactly right. And he said it exactly the way that I thought he would say it. And for the reasons that I thought he would say it. He's happy where he's at. He literally expressed that. The fans are great. This is great. That's great. But it's not great here because I can't do the thing I dreamed about doing when I was a little kid. I can't do it here. And I don't think that I can do it here with this squad. Let me just translate what he said. That is what he said. I don't think I can do it here with this squad. And I don't think Chauncey's being here is going to make it good for me. I think it's much to do about nothing. Y'all brought Chauncey in. Cool. Y'all going to let these same guys stay here? Great. We're going to suck again. We're not going to make it the whole way again. I need to figure out what I need to do on my end to make sure I get that ring. And if I can't get that ring here, my agent already knows if you can figure this out, figure it out. And his agent, I'm telling you, that's where all these rumors are coming from. His agent's probably on the phone somewhere at a restaurant like, hey, if we could get Dame and somebody's hearing it, I'm telling you, but there's work going on behind the scenes. It's exactly what you said. It's going to be one of those situations where if it happens, nobody's going to go, oh my God. He said just enough to let y'all know it might happen.
Right. It's like breadcrumbs, dropping these little breadcrumbs around. And then, when the moment actually happens, nobody's too shocked about it. We've seen a lot of teams try to bring in a new coach in order to deal with a roster that never changes. Like, for example, Doc Rivers going to the Sixers to try and make the Joel Embiid, Ben Simmons situation work out. And now Chauncey going into the Trailblazers and trying to make them work out. Is there ever a time where you feel like a new coach could be what a team needs? Is it possible Chauncey is able to transform the Trailblazers, or have they just gone too far down this road that really the only way to make meaningful change is to switch up that roster in a drastic way?
I think a coach can always be beneficial to a young team, when you have a couple of vets, but in general, the team is pretty young. But in this case, these guys are kind of solid in who they are as a team. So Chauncey coming in, I agree 100% with Dame on that. It's not going to make a difference. The only thing that's going to make a difference is if you shake things up a little bit. And that means some guys have got to go. Some guys that especially that fan base is going to look at and say, oh no, he's so valuable to our team. Sure, on paper, but when it comes to that hardware, everybody's expendable, in my opinion. So I think it's one of those things where no, you can't, if you're going into a young squad, you know, or guys that have kind of been bounced around to a couple of teams and now they've just settled with this team, you get the right coach in there, sure. This isn't the situation. I think Dame is right. This isn't the situation where the coach is the problem. It's just not.
Yeah, I agree with that statement 100%. All right, well, let's wrap up Need to Know News. Let's get into the post-up.
Yes, let's get into the first post-up the weekend after Space Jam. See, I was trying to coordinate everything right so you didn't see anything in the background, but y'all got Troy Aikman on one side and the top of LeBron on the other. Whatever. So let's go into this. I was trying to coordinate it, but I clearly did not do this right. So this one is fun to me because the Phoenix Suns were playing X Gon' Give It To You, right? At this moment in time, y'all know that DMX song, X Gon' Give It To You. It's when you're trying to hype up the crowd and everything. And Giannis acted like he was in his own personal music video and took this opportunity to silence the crowd. This is fantastic. You guys take a look at this. I love it. It's the pause and the stare into the camera for me. Like, yeah, who's going to give it to you? Giannis is going to give it to you. I love this moment in time. Silenced everybody. That was the moment where I was like, okay, Giannis, okay. Devin, I know you saw this moment. What did you think about this?
He like comes flying out of nowhere. He's like a video game character. It's very impressive. Like, this is what's fun about Giannis. He is big and he definitely uses that to his advantage, but it's fun to see him just kind of like launching out of nowhere and making shots like this. It's very impressive.
It's good to see that chemistry. This is what I've been talking about, that chemistry that says, you know what? First of all, that was an amazing strip of the ball, and then just, where's my boy Giannis? Let me throw it up. This is that chemistry that you want. And of course, anytime you flex the muscles, Giannis, is good with me. I'm totally here for the muscle flexing. But let's go on to this next one. Because you guys know LeBron was at the game. I was so excited about LeBron being at the game because y'all talk about him so much anyway, so you might as well give him a reason to actually say your name, even though he's not in the finals. But he did show up with his tequila. So let me show you this post because this one is funny to me because I've told y'all I got the cheap version. The version that he had obviously is not the cheap version. Mine is like a very clear version. It's $40. His is a little bit more expensive. You can see it right there under his. That's the darker one. I think that's not even the most expensive bottle, but I think it's like second most expensive. So Joe says they let LeBron bring his own bottle of tequila into the arena tonight. LeBron James, Maverick Carter, Rich Paul, Anthony Davis, and Draymond Green are all investors in Lobos 1707 brand. Exactly. So LeBron claps back though, and he says, "They let me? Okay, we'll go with that. Bring your own tequila." I love this. First of all, LeBron is not the guy you let do anything. LeBron walks up to the door and goes, "Hey, I'm coming in." And you see the tequila and you go, "Okay, King James, good to see you. Can you maybe give me a discount on that bottle?" That's all you say about that. I thought that was hilarious. Make sure you check that tequila out. The cheap one is good. I'm telling you, I don't even like tequila, and it's good. So the nonsense had to happen right away. Y'all take a look at this. Jordan would never drink. We just saw a whole Last Dance where that man didn't put down the whiskey. He said Jordan would never drink. Shame on you, LeBron. My kids looked up to you. Thankfully, there's somebody with common sense. Jordan was out gambling and drinking after every game. What you talking about? Why are y'all like this? I need to know why you guys are like this. Devin.
There were also tweets that were like, Jordan would never go to a finals game that he wasn't in. It's like, okay, and times are different. And LeBron and Chris Paul are friends. Like, why wouldn't he go? What is the big deal? Oh, my God. These LeBron, Michael Jordan, like, ooh, Michael Jordan's better, blah, blah. You were so right about the whiskey. He literally had that in his hand for the entire interview session. Oh, Michael Jordan doesn't drink. Okay. What universe are you living in?
Right. Y'all need to go back and watch some of them games because Michael Jordan used to be in press conferences, eyes completely bloodshot. That's something only whiskey can do. Y'all tripping. But y'all go ahead. Y'all go ahead. I'm not mad at it. The nonsense is always going to exist. This user makes some sense, though, and I'm excited for at least one person having an ounce of common sense. He says, so LeBron got a contract to serve his tequila at the stadium. Good business move. I don't know if that's I knew he was in the works to get that here in LA. Don't know if he had it everywhere, but if he did, that's dope. He says, in the US, if you're rich and famous, it's just much easier to do anything you want. Regular people have to grind for a lifetime to hope for a deal like that. I wonder how the tequila tastes. You guys, I don't know how that expensive one tastes, but I can tell you this for fact. The $40 one was so smooth, and I do not like tequila at all, but it was so smooth. So I'm never going to get the expensive one because if the cheap one was that good, ooh, the expensive one got to be dangerous. It just got to be. But let's move on to this next one because whatever he was drinking was not the real reason he was there. Devin just said they're friends. Chris Paul made sure that he came to LeBron's first final appearance. It would be really jacked up friendship if he did not pay it forward in some way. So glad to see he was there and glad he let the world know why he was there. Take a listen.
I'm proud as hell for CP. I'm here for CP. He came to my first finals appearance, and it's me giving it back to him, man. We support each other. We've been a brotherhood since we came into the league, and we're going to ride and die with one another.
Now, I want you to take note that in that moment in time, all he was talking about was Chris Paul, right? That's all he was talking about. He also didn't have any Space Jam shoes on and no Space Jam jewelry, but that did not stop Kevin Lang from coming onto my Instagram and saying, stop. He's out here supporting Space Jam. We're not dumb. Kevin, I need you to do so much better with your whole life, sir. This is just asinine to me. But okay, Kevin, defend yourself in the chat. I'm going to wait for it while we get to this next tweet. Because this next tweet, I love this. He said, LeBron said I'm going to have my finals appearance one way or another. And of course, you see at the bottom, he's been in the finals 10 times. I love that. But here's the thing. I agree with him. If y'all going to keep talking about me in the finals, then I'm going to come to the finals. Zen Master says, mask with the nose out. Jordan would wear a full mask. Zen Master, I'm going to need you to go find Jesus because this is ridiculous. You and Kevin Lang been hanging out. I can literally see that. Devin, don't you think he was there just to support his friend, Chris Paul?
Yes. Yes, I definitely think so. I also, look, I don't think he was out there supporting Space Jam or promoting Space Jam, but I do think the tequila was brought in as a prime marketing opportunity because he knew people would talk about it. So he probably went 75% to support Chris Paul, 25% to put the bottle of tequila under his chair so that people would talk about it since it is his tequila brand. So I think that it's both of those things, but I don't think it was Space Jam. He's done a lot of Space Jam promo. I don't think it needs to happen at Game 5. Yeah, so anyway, that's my thoughts on that.
He could have had a Bugs Bunny glass if that was the case. He was drinking from a regular old plain old glass. Y'all silly. Y'all need to start your own hate club because that's ridiculous. But let's move on to this next one because I am not a fan of this reporter. His name is Greg Moore. He is a reporter with the Arizona Republic. Now he started this whole rumor, I want to say 2017, 2018, that Kyrie was coming to the Suns. So this is the guy that started that rumor. I went on to try to find his Twitter. His Twitter does not exist. I don't know if it existed before this moment because I feel like this would be something that you take it down for. But you guys let me know in the chat. I feel like this is the dumbest question you could possibly ask. Take a listen to the question he asked Devin Booker at the post game. Take a listen.
This is obviously a really tough loss. Devin, how frustrated are you for Chris right now?
Next question, please.
Dwayne over on the right side.
They obviously shot the ball.
Devin? First of all, what is your intent with that question? Because there's a lot to unpack there. Maybe you ask that at the Game 7, if it goes Game 7 like I think, and you lose. Maybe that's a question you ask Game 7 because, like you said, Chris is older. His opportunity to get to the finals now, he's got more basketball behind him than he has in front of him. So maybe that's a question you ask then. But is that a Game 5 question?
I don't think so. I thought that was so weird, and I like how they're both kind of like, next question.
Right.
That's like us being in a work meeting. It's like us being in a work meeting and then one of our higher ups being like, so Devin, how do you feel about Jackie's workload? Is it too much for her? Like,
Next question.
Me? It's so weird and funny. Some of these reporters, I feel like they just get nervous under pressure and then they ask like stupid, ridiculous stuff.
No, that's not what it is. Because I have a friend who gets to do these Zoom calls all the time because a lot of them are still doing these Zoom calls. And I can tell you what it is. Only a certain number of people, all of you guys are on the call, but only a certain number of people get to ask a question. And so probably somebody's asked, it's always the local reporter. If it's a local game, the local reporter always gets to go first, and then you just go whenever. So it's one of two things. One, either your question has already been asked and you haven't been smart enough to create a bunch of questions. Maybe you didn't watch enough of the game to create a bunch of questions. Or two, you're trying to do exactly what happens here. You're trying to ask that question that causes some sort of reaction, even if it's a bad reaction where the player's like, what the hell are you talking about, man? Or whatever. You're trying to ask that question that gets people talking. So technically, even though it's a dumbass question, he did exactly what he was supposed to do, which I do not like it, but hey, it is what it is. All right, so let's get on to this next one because we get back to these Dame rumors because Yusuf Nurkic is like, nah, you guys are wrong. The rumors are all fake. This is not true. So he responded to this. So let me show you this tweet and how he claps back and says, nah, this isn't it. So Grant says, Trailblazers superstar Damian Lillard has his eyes on the New York Knicks among trade destinations in the event he were to be dealt per a source. Just a source. And Nurk was like, what a clown, bruh. Keep lying, you clown. That's exactly what he's supposed to say, though. And guess who wouldn't know? Oh, guess who wouldn't know? I did do that. My bad. Guess who wouldn't know that if it was all about that? I wouldn't tell my teammate that. There's no way I would do that. So this user, I believe, is 100% correct. Let's go to this next user. So, yep. If we're gonna do it, that's what we're gonna do. We're not going to the Knicks. We're going to do it. We're going to the Lakers. Devin, I know you agree with me. The Knicks. The lies. All right, you guys, go ahead, Devin.
This Knicks narrative has been very prevalent. We see it in the chat a lot. I think who keeps saying it? I think it's Kevin keeps saying that the Knicks is going to be Kevin Pryor. So yeah, no, guys, not going to happen.
He's a Knicks fan though. So you guys, I totally forgot to do this moment in time for Giannis, and I apologize because this moment in time was the moment in time that I was talking about earlier when we were doing Need to Know News, which is why I feel like Giannis is that guy now. He's so methodical in what he's saying, and Devin and I kind of got on him a little bit before when he did this one interview where he was like, I don't know, we might win, we might lose, and Devin and I were mortified by that. But this, I feel like I understand him a little bit better, and I definitely like him a little bit more after this speech. So I want you to hear his post-game speech and how he nailed it for me.
I mean, you're 26 years old, and I've covered plenty of players who didn't seem like they figured the ego part out until their 30s. I mean, who taught you about why that's important and to handle it that way?
I think I'll say life. Usually, let me tell you this. Usually, when from my experience, right? Like when I think about like, oh yeah, I did this. I'm so great. I had 30. I had 25, 10, and 10, or whatever the case might be. Because you're gonna think about that. Oh, we won this and that. Usually, the next day you're gonna suck.
Right.
Simple as that. You like the next few days you're gonna be terrible. And I figured out like a mindset to have that like when you focus on the past, that's your ego. I did this. We were able to, beat this team 4-0. I did this in the past. I won that in the past.
Right.
And when I focus in the future, is my pride. Like, yeah, next game, game 5, I do this and this and this.
Right.
You know, I'm going dominant. That's your pride talking. Like it doesn't happen. Like you're right here, and I kind of like try to focus in the in the moment, in the present, and that's humility. That's being humble. That's not setting no expectation. That's going out there, enjoying the game, competing at a high level. And I think I've had people throughout my life that helped me with that. But that's a skill that I've tried to like kind of how you say, kind of like perfect it.
Master.
Yeah, master it, and it's been working so far.
Yeah.
So I'm not gonna stop.
You're doing okay.
That was so good. And I think it's so true because that you can't get stuck in either moment. You can't get stuck in this current success because that might mess up your future success. And you can't look too far in the future and think, oh, I automatically got it, because you still have to put in the work. I absolutely love this. I think it makes his nonchalant attitude before make more sense. I wish he would have said this, because he was a little bit more nonchalant. But Devin, I know we both critiqued him really hard when he was kind of like, meh. How do you feel about this speech?
There's no doubt that what Giannis said is very powerful and very meaningful, and I think that it's a great mentality to have. But what I will say is when he's talking about this after a win, he's talking about, keeping his ego at bay and staying humble and staying focused and committed and always ready and willing to level up. And he's doing it with a smile. He's cheerful. He's optimistic. Going into the playoffs, when we saw him talking about that, the demeanor was entirely different. And that's why I still have a problem. Yes, it probably is stemming from that same mentality of like, I never want to believe I'm the greatest because then I'm not going to try as hard or whatever. It probably is coming from that same place, but it was two different personalities going on right there, because he did seem already defeated going into the playoffs. So I still don't love that. It doesn't make me understand that moment in time anymore. Because I think he just seemed like he had given up already.
Yeah, I think it was too much. Like, it was like, let me just dial it all the way back. And by dialing it back that far, then it's exactly what you say. Now your posture looks like you don't care. And it was just a lot. So I think in this moment, because, especially after a win like that, and he owned that court. Let's just be clear about that. He was living in his moment by moment, he was in that game. So shouts out to him for that. So it's a little bit different. I think you're right, though. If this was him going into a new series or maybe right after a loss, we'd probably see the old Giannis. I want to shout out Donnie Trowell. He said pride comes before the fall. He was not lying about that. Absolutely right. I am very excited for Giannis in this moment, just to hear him have this level head. Shouts out to him for that. But let's get into this next one, guys, because this one, I can't even make this up, you guys. This is hilarious to me. But Paul Camilo, he is a U.S. track and field Olympian, and he is putting Tokyo on blast because, we told you about how they want to make sure that nobody is fornicating while they're in the Olympics. And he is calling them out for their bed and what they're doing. They're saying the bed is going to make them stop. So let's look at this post. He said, beds to be installed in Tokyo Olympic Village will be made out of cardboard. This is aimed at avoiding intimacy among athletes. Beds will be able to withstand the weight of a single person to avoid situations beyond sports. He says, I see no problem for distance runners. Even 4 or 5 of us can fit because, they tend to be a little light and a little thin. So he's like, nah. But let me tell you, Paul had time because he just went on this whole rant about this damn bed. It is hilarious. Let me show you this next tweet from him. He goes, I can't fly business Polaris and sleep on a cardboard box or carton box. Now economy is perfecto. Those who pee in the bed, why are you calling people out? Those who pee in the bed are at risk here. Once the carton box is wet, the bed falls over, especially if it's stuck. Especially it will suck if it's the night before the finals. First of all, why are you calling some of your teammates out who have this problem? You wrong for that. Let me get on to this next one from him, where he says, at this point, I will have to start practicing how to sleep on the floor because if my bed collapses and I have no training on sleeping on the floor, I'm done. More added stress heading to Tokyo. He's before and after. He's like, it's just going to fold it up. These are all funny because he continues on for about 10 more tweets to just blast them for this cardboard bed. But it's the actually trying it out and letting people know y'all can still do what you need to do on these cardboard beds for me. And this is a totally different one, but take a look at this.
In today's episode of Fake News at the Olympic Games, The beds are meant to be anti-sex. They're made out of cardboard, yes, but apparently they're meant to break at any sudden movements. It's fake. Fake news.
This is too much. This is too much for me, Devin. I'm just going to go to you on this. First of all, cardboard bed, that's rude. That cannot be comfortable at all.
That's what I was going to say. These are athletes. These are people who have spent years training and perfecting their bodies so that they can compete at an Olympic level. And you are really going to give them a cardboard bed? Sleep is the most important thing these athletes can do at this point in the game. And to make them sleep on freaking cardboard, I would not go. I am so particular about sleeping. I just would be like, okay, fine. I'm not going to go. I'm going to stay home. I'm going to sleep in my own bed.
I'd rather do an air mattress at that point than to sleep on a cardboard box. You know what I mean? This is ridiculous. Yeah. Kevin Pryor in the chat said there's no way NBA players are sleeping on cardboard beds. And Mike Glock said, it's the way he's jumping for me. Right. Like, you can do it on this bed. I'm like, dude, calm down. This is ridiculous. Oh, I cannot wait until somebody, because somebody is going to tweet it out. They have to change this. I just don't believe that they're actually going with these cardboard beds. But let's move on to this next one, because this next one explains a lot. We told you about DWAYNE HASKINS last week, and he was the guy that his wife beat him up, knocked out his teeth. Both of them said that was a lie, but Devin let us know that one of his teeth were found on the floor. So we obviously know that she knocked out one of his teeth, but now we know why. And it's because he was cheating with an Instagram model. Not only was he cheating with her, he was buying her lavish gifts. Now that he done got beat up and his tooth knocked out, he wants the money back. And we know this because Little Miss IG model decides to post this. And so she starts it off in the middle where he goes, and it was a lot more than that. But he says, I'm not petty for real. You can send what you know I spent, but 20,000 is cool. Respectfully, if you're not about to stand on what you saying, just go ahead about your business and send what you know I spent. If you have any good person in you, if not, just send me the 20,000. Apple Pay to the number I sent you, because that's going straight to my family. Stand on what you're saying. And then she responds back. She said, just laughed at the request. LOL. Get that stuff back in your blood. He says, never cared. We good over here. Stand on what you say or keep it pushing. LOL. Take care. So at some point, she must have made this joke of, okay, I'll give you your money back. This number that it's probably going to is probably his wife, because that's probably how he got his teeth busted out. She noticed all that money was missing. And then IG model says, you know what? Let me rethink this. Maybe I will give you this money back. So she posted this to her story as well. She says, after reconsideration, I will be Apple paying the exact amount of LMA. Oh. Why? See, this is the thing. Can I just have a moment? I'm going to have a little mini what we not going to do for future side chicks everywhere. If you a get around girl, don't post stuff like this, because you don't have no kind of business sense. You're not about to be the leader of no Fortune 500. This is your get down. This is how you supply your needs. Don't let people know this, because now you the get around girl that's going to stop getting around because guys know they can't trust you. Got to use your assets right, sis, because you clearly only have a couple of them. But Devin, I know you like the messiness. What do you think about all this?
I mean, I love reading about it, but I think that athletes, I feel like especially football players and basketball players get into the messiest situations. Like, this is otherworldly what they deal with. This guy gets his tooth knocked out. He's now asking a girl to pay him $20,000 back in gifts. Outrageous. So I think it's really, really kind of just shitty is the word I want to say. I was trying to think of a synonym, because I know we're not really supposed to cuss on air, but I think it's shitty that he is asking to be paid back for the gifts when he was the one who went out, sought out a side chick, decided to shower her with lavish things, and then wants to ask for it back. You can't do that. It's just shitty. So all around now explains maybe why his wife was so mad and why she did knock his tooth out. Not that violence is ever the answer, but anyway, I have a lot of thoughts about this, but I just think the mess is just hilarious to watch.
This is a lot. Don't give her a bunch of gifts. Both these individuals are not the sharpest tool in the shed. But that's all I got for the post up. it's time to get into what we not gonna do. I actually really love this report that was written by Devon Mason. He works for the Shadow League because it addresses some real points. I was really disappointed in mankind over the weekend. We talked about what happened with Richard Sherman last week. And over the weekend, all I saw was a lot of criticisms going Richard Sherman's way, which was kind of surprising to me because if you're a football fan, you instantly you were triggered in a way because you know how CTE has manifested itself, how we've seen situations very similar to this when we think about Junior Seau. And then, of course, once he passed, we immediately found out that he had CTE. So I was really disappointed in mankind and how they came for a guy that's really an upstanding citizen and very intelligent. And that's the thing that I've said time and time again. He's very, very intelligent. So I just want to read this first paragraph of the article that he wrote because I thought it was very well written. And then I'm going to get to this tweet. But he says, you know what's concerning about this whole fiasco is Sherman attended Stanford University, the brilliant school out in Palo Alto, California, where former Secretary of State Condoleezza Rice, golfing GOAT Tiger Woods, and even retired quarterback Andrew Luck attended. My point is just being an athlete isn't good enough at this school, as it takes some significant brains to be accepted and thrive there, which is my point on Friday. You are sharper than the average bear. You are not going to be caught up getting a tooth knocked out and having to ask some chick for $20,000 if you went to Stanford, because we've even heard Richard Sherman speak and the way that even though he says some things that I haven't necessarily agreed with, he comes from an intellectual standpoint on it. He's done some research. He's very intelligent in where he speaks. Not surprising at all, considering who he is. So obviously, when I saw this immediately spoke to CTE for me. Not only the videotape that we showed you, but also his apology. He was very embarrassed by this situation, and he was pretty honest and said that he's been dealing with a lot for the last several months, and he's been trying to get help for that. The problem with CTE is we don't know necessarily how to help with that yet. So it's kind of like dementia in that situation. We know how to make you comfortable, but we don't know how to. There's no cure for it. So I was very disturbed by seeing that. But in this article, Devon also posted this as well. So now we can throw that tweet up there, which kind of gave me a ray of hope because he says CTE detected in the living using new research. So they also wrote this article about they tested 14 former NFL players. They diagnosed CTE, I believe in all of them. And then when one of them passed away, they did the autopsy on it and found that he did have it. So this is such a ray of hope for me because I feel like now if we can get to the point where we can diagnose it while they're alive, there is hope. I do believe that when you see something like this, which is completely out of the norm, and that's probably one of the first signs. I mean, if you guys don't know Junior Seau's story, I would highly recommend you go back and read about that and how he went from this kind of happy-go-lucky guy to this downward spiral of very dark thoughts until he ultimately committed suicide. Obviously, I think that was the first sign for him. When he started behaving outside of his character, that's probably the first sign, especially when you know that you've been taking hits since you were like, 6, 7 years old. Now we can start to say, hey, we need to address this. And this is before this article came out, which again, I'm very happy to know that now we have this kind of light at the end of the tunnel where we can say, hey, we can start getting these guys help. But what we're not going to do is see somebody act, and this isn't even just football, guys. People go through stuff. What we're not going to do is see somebody act completely out of their character. And instead of taking a step back and say, whoa, this is not who you are. How can I help? We're not going to automatically judge this person and point our fingers at them because you wouldn't want that to happen to you. You need to operate from a sense of compassion, especially if you're a football fan and you've been following this sport for any length of time. You know what these guys have to go through after the game. You know how horrific it is. I would implore all of you to operate with a sense of compassion and not be so ridiculous in your thought process because you never know when you're going to need that kind of compassion yourself. So that's all I got for what we're not going to do. Devin, do you have any thoughts on this?
Well, I obviously think that CTE is a very real problem, and the fact that we have seen sort of the same trajectory happen with many football players, and I know that this it spans multiple sports, but just for the sake of conversation, we see this happen with football players. more often than I think any of us really want to admit. I remember the Junior Seau incident so well. That he was in San Diego. I had friends who were friends with his sons. So it was a very devastating thing. And I feel like time and time again, we sort of see these football players kind of go out of their minds in a way. And nobody ever wants to sit and say, maybe it was because they got hit in the head so hard so many times. Maybe it is because, there's too much contact going on in football. People always want to blame something else. And I think that this Richard Sherman incident very well could be CTE. I would not be surprised in the least if it was. So, I mean, I obviously think they need to be doing a lot more to prevent this, to treat this, to, just equip the medical staff to handle concussions better. I don't know, lots of problems with the NFL, and this is just one of them. But I do think that Richard Sherman does deserve our compassion. And I like what you said, Jackie. You should give compassion because you're never going to know when you need it back. I think that that's really powerful. But on that note, let's wrap up the show. We're ending it a few minutes early here, but we will be back again tomorrow at 9 a.m. Pacific Standard Time, so don't forget to tune in, subscribe, leave a comment below, share this video with your friends, hit that thumbs up button, and we will see you guys tomorrow on Taco Tuesday at 9 a.m. Bye, everyone.